Hello Stampers, it's Jackie Bolhuis with Klompen Stampers. Today I want to share a very special stamp set with you. It's called Strong of Heart. Now the reason this is special is it's Stampin' Up's Make a Difference stamp set. Every catalog that comes out, or usually every catalog, they have a special set that they designate as kind of a fundraising set to make a difference in the world. And with this mini catalog that runs through the end of December, this is the stamp set, and $3 from the sale of every single one of these stamp sets will go towards different causes that support heart health. So I think it's pretty cool that they do that. And so I want to share this one with you today in hopes of helping them raise more money to go towards heart health, which that's something that affects all of us. If not personally, I'm sure one way or another within your family. So I have some really cute cards to share with you today and a couple of tips. And I'm going to share something I haven't before, and that's how to tie a bow, so to speak, that is out of the cord and is kind of coming from underneath paper. Now, I know that makes no sense at all. I don't even know how to describe it. So you're going to have to watch the video to see what I'm talking about, because it's something you might want to just add to your next card. So without further ado, I think we need to just flip the camera down and let's get to work on this card. Hang on one second. Okay, so our stamp set, Strong of Heart, you're going to find on page 5 if you have the mini catalog. And what I really like about the stamp set is you can do it as a two-step, or you could use just this heart or just this heart. But the words are also awesome in it for just cards of encouragement. Seems like lately that's what I tend to send the most cards for, is encouragement for one reason or another. And it's a very easy stamp set. You don't have to do a ton. There's no die cuts or punches. So we're just going to do some nice stamping with it. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to start by taking the black. The stamps are pretty big, so I find it's easier to ink them upside down. And then we're going to flip it over, and I'm going to stamp not really in the middle, a little bit more towards the top. And then we're going to take our big heart, and I have Melon Mambo here. Now the one thing I found, this ink is really, really dark, and I want it really light. So I'm going to stamp it 1, 2, and even 3 times on my scrap paper. And now I'm going to stamp it on top of my heart, because I wanted it light. Look at the difference. And that's one way to get like more colors out of your ink pads, is by stamping them off and getting different shades of those tones. Okay, next, let's do a little coloring. So we use Melon Mambo, and then I'm going to also use Melon Mambo Stampin' Blends. So these flowers, when I stamp them with the blends, it's gonna make them kind of pop a little bit. And this is why I wanted to make sure that pink was nice and light on there. If I would have stamped it dark, we wouldn't have even seen our coloring. So I'm using both the light and the dark. So I like to lay down the light color first, and we'll just kind of color it, and then we'll come back, add just a little bit of the dark. It gives you some different tones in there. There's really no right or wrong way. I think everybody kind of colors differently with blends. You need to kind of find your groove. I like to just go around those lines and come back. Anything that works to just kind of make those images pop up a little bit. I like the blends because your images aren't quite so flat looking, like, just one solid color. It gives you those different shades in there. Now remember, when you put the top on, make sure you push it on your table and you hear that little bit of a pop, because we want to make sure they're on good. And then we're going to grab Granny Apple Green. Typically, especially with larger areas, I do one section at a time. I'll do the light and the dark for one section, but they're pretty small, so we can go ahead, do all the light. I'm going to come back and just put a little bit of the dark, like at the base of each one of these, and then come back in with that light and just blend it a little bit so we don't have any harsh lines. And that gives me those different tones of green in there. Okay, so there is that part of it. Now, like I said, there's some great words in here. So what I'm going to do is take a piece of scrap paper here, and I have one of the greetings here, "You amaze me," and we're going to go ahead and put it on just the scrap. You know what? Let's do that over. I want to actually put it right down at the edge. I was thinking I was going to use a die, but I'm actually going to just cut it out. So Let's stamp it right at the edge. Now, with greetings, I pretty much all the time stamp on scrap paper, and then I use my trimmer to trim them down. You can see here's my cutting edge, so I can see through there to get pretty close. Okay, you know, if you cut first, it's really hard to get things straight and figure out your exact sizes you need. So I find this is easier. And that's why you will see when I write card measurements in the recipes, I usually say a scrap for the greeting because I don't know what size this is. And a lot of times they end up such weird sizes. It's just easier to do it the way I did it. Okay, you know what? We're going to flip that over because that's a little obnoxious, all that color. Okay, the next thing is what I really wanted to show you. I have this gold cord. Now this comes in a package of gold and silver together. And what I want to do is I'm going to double it. And usually I use linen thread or baker's twine because it ties really easy. This stuff's pretty slippery. And I find it doesn't tie very good. It kind of, see how it bunches up there and you don't get a good knot and it slips all over. But I like the look of it. So what I'm going to do is tie just kind of this ugly, that's really ugly. I need it a little bit longer, actually. We need longer tails. So let's try that one more time. We're going to tie it just like we would a regular bow that we're going to glue down. But then I'm going to make it big because what I want this to do is go underneath my greeting. So my greeting will go on top of it. Like you'll see a lot of samples in the catalog and from Stampin' Up that have this bow look that's coming from underneath. Well, this cord works perfect for it because you can't tie that nice bow to sit on something. Does that make sense? I feel like I'm kind of talking in circles a little bit. So tie that ugly looking bow, we're going to call it. And then I'm going to make it you want to make it as flat as you can so you don't have that big, like bulky knot there that this would create. And then we're going to put our greeting piece. This is really hard to explain. Sometimes it's just hard to explain what I'm doing. So hopefully I'm making sense to you. And then we're going to take a piece of Scotch tape here and we're going to just tape it down like so. Whoops, that didn't stick. There's so much of that gold or silver, you got to work kind of around it. And then sometimes I end up with Scotch tape sticking out, so I'm just going to bend it down. And now I can play with this a little bit. If you want to try to get a couple of those loops up higher, play around with the bottom. There we go. Get that stuck down there. And then we're going to take our dimension. Look at how ugly that looks from the back. So hopefully it's going to look much better when we get it on. Let's see, I feel like we need a little bit more Scotch tape right there. It's kind of a small piece to get this on, so to hit that cardstock. Okay, I think we're in better shape here. So now let's pull these dimensional pieces off and kind of move out I like to separate those tails a little bit, get a little space in there. And then we're just going to go ahead and stick that right on our card, like so. Let's see, get that one up there. Gosh, I'm struggling today, guys. That one's there. Okay, phew, that was a struggle. There we go. So now you can see how we have that nice silver cording behind it without like tying this big bulky bow. So that's how you get those bows that look, like they're tied, but they're behind everything. So now we're ready to finish this off. So for this layer, I actually have 2 pieces of black here because I want to show you something. Most often in my card recipes, you will see that I layer and the cardstock measurements are eighths. And someone asked me once, why do you always do eighths? Other people do quarters. And I think it's kind of a personal preference, but I like the size of the smaller border behind something. So I could put it on this piece, or this piece is a 1/4 inch bigger, and you can see the difference here where that just gives you a wider border. So it's really kind of up to you. So when you read those measurements of mine, and it says, like 4 1/8 to cut something, if you don't like cutting eighths or you like a little wider border, just bump it up 1/8, up to 1/4, the next quarter. So 4 1/8, you could cut it 4 1/4 instead if you like that bigger size. Okay, So there's that piece. And then we are just going to add this onto a card like so. Okay, we are almost done, my friends. So there is our You Amaze Me card. And the only other thing I want to do is add some black dots. These have been kind of my new obsession, I think. I've been putting these on everything. I like to add embellishments, you know, whether they're the black dots or, you know, different things. And I usually add 3. I think 3 is just very eye appealing, and try to do them like in almost a triangular pattern. But there we go. So there is our You Amaze Me card. Now I just want to show you the difference. Here's my original sample. And I think that bow actually is laying a little bit better. There's no right or wrong way. That one looks great as well. So it's just one of those things you got to play with because the stuff, it's so thick and slippery. Okay. So there is that card. And then I just want to share another one that I made. My cardstock measurements, everything is the same for this one. I just laid it out a little bit differently. I didn't put the silver cord on it, but the words, like I said, such great words for stronger than you know, through struggle comes strength. And then I also have the here for you. And I think my sample, I put the struggle comes strength on that one as well. So I hope you like those samples and just kind of a peek at this wonderful stamp set called Strong of Heart. Remember, if you purchase this, $3 from the purchase of it will go towards some organization that supports heart health. And if you have any questions, as always, please reach out to me. Otherwise, if you'd like to place an order for this stamp set, make sure you hop over to my website. Link will be down in the video description, and you can place an order for this. You can see all the products that I use, my cutting dimensions, and more information about these projects, and then ordering as well. So it's been fun stamping with you today, and I'll be back again real soon. Have a stamp happy day.